Alright guys, so I'll try and talk loud since we don't really have a microphone. But, so yeah, we're going to be here talking about driving. Devan's a lefty, so I know there was a couple lefties out there. If you guys have, he'll be demonstrating also some driving technique. Obviously it's a lot of the similar stuff, it's the same exact stuff, just flipped around, so you can translate with him and relate with him since he's a lefty if you are a lefty. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, if you have any questions, save them till the end. We're going to leave about 10 minutes at the end to answer questions. And don't be shy. I know you Norwegians are shy, but if you ask questions, it could be someone else's question that's too shy to ask. You can answer a couple people's questions just by asking one. So go ahead and get started here. We got a T-pad, which is good because every topic I like to talk about, I like to go ahead and start pretty basic and work my way up to more complex things, because as you know, you got to have a solid base before you can build up with the more complex stuff. So we've got a T-pad here, and the first thing I'm going to talk about is just how you approach the T-pad and how you line yourself up to throw certain shots. I'm going to talk about it, and then Devan's going to kind of demonstrate it and show you how to throw the 3 different main shots that we throw. Obviously Anheuser, and straight shots, but he's going to demonstrate just how you're going to run up and approach each shot. So the first shot is going to be, I'm just going to talk about it, and then Devan's going to throw 3 shots for you to show you the angle and how everything goes. So say I want to throw straight, I'll face this way so you guys can hear me. So if I'm going to throw a straight shot, a lot of people, they don't think about how they're approaching the T-pad and how they're moving their body to throw certain shots. But it's the most important thing to achieve consistency and to achieve allow yourself not to injure yourself. You don't want to, if you're running across, throwing across your body, which I'll show you here in a second, you're going to not be consistent and you're going to cause injury on your body because you're working against your body. So the first thing is going to be a straight shot. It's pretty self-explanatory. You want to run up in the same direction for all 3 shots. But the straight shot is just pretty basic. Well, what I like to do is I like to point my feet where I want to throw. So if I want to approach the T-pad this way, I'm going to start my feet this way, and then my first step has my shoulders turned and the line I want to go. So I'm looking at my target, I'm getting all my line figured out. My first step is here, my second step, everything is squared up to go in this direction with my shoulders, and my feet are going to follow whatever angle my shoulders tell it to. So basically, a straight run up would look like this. That's pretty basic and easy to understand. But you just have to, these concepts, for me when I was first learning, I never paid attention to it until 3-4 years into playing. And it seems pretty easy, but it's something you don't think about until someone really tells you about it. And that's exactly what happened to me, and it changed my game in a great way when I finally figured all this stuff out. So the first one, obviously you saw, was a straight shot. The second one is going to be an Anheuser shot. So obviously you're going to want to start on the right side of the T-pad, so that way you can contort your body into manipulating the disc to throw a left to right Anheuser shot. So I'm going to stand on this side of the T-pad, and so now what's going to happen is I'm going to stand from right corner and go to left corner of the T-pad, and now all I have to do is hold my disc on the angle and run on the T-pad this way. So now my shoulders are lined up this way to throw an Anheuser with my body, as opposed to throwing, even just like if you're lining up to throw a straight shot and trying to throw all the way back around your body. You notice my feet are lined up like this and not like this because I ran up that way. So this would be a straight shot if I was standing still, and this would be an Anheuser shot. So you see the difference. If you just run up straight and you don't think about what angle you want to throw, you end up in this position as opposed to this position, which gets you in the Anheuser angle. So watch the difference between the two. So straight angle, this, when I'm ready to throw, is this with my feet. Shoulders are all squared to where I want to go, and then Anheuser like this. So like this. So now my feet are pointed this way, so now all my hips, my lower body, and everything is working in this direction, as opposed to what you see a lot of people do. They go like this, they're all the way on the right side of the T-pad. Now the feet are telling you to go this way, and your arm knows you want to try and go around and throw an Anheuser. Like I said, it's going to work against your body. You're going to get injured trying to do that. You can throw your back out, and so many different variables as far as consistency goes. So, and then the last movement is going to be a left to right. So you're going to start on the left side of the T-pad and contort your body to get in this position, which is the Anheuser shot. So if you're throwing a right to left shot, you work your body in the same angle you want your disc to go. So like I said, it all seems pretty basic, but I'm going to show Devan to throw 3 different shots and how he approaches it. And remember what I was telling you, he's going to throw this way so you guys can see what he's doing. just look at him. He's not going to go for distance. He's just going to go for lining himself up and achieving the 3 different shots. And then after that, I can build off of that and how all the mechanics apply to where you're shaping your body on each shot. So he's going to throw 3 shots. He's not going for distance. He's just going to go ahead and throw 3 shots and kind of talk and expand on what I was saying, and just show you how you're going to approach each shot with the way you're running up.
And to add to what he's talking about, one of the biggest things that I realized, like when you're lining yourself up, when you line up and you're on the line, you don't want to line up being on the line, because when you line up on the line, you're actually, when you go to throw, you're like a half a meter off the line because of your arm. So you want to line yourself up off the line and walk into it. And like, that was a big deal, because you see the people, like, they always start on the same pad or the same spot, and they hit the same tree over and over and over, and they never correct it because they're just lining up improperly. So if you just line up correctly, you'll be able to float right past that tree nearly every time, because it's like that's why I drew this circle here. It's like, if I'm going to line up on the line right here, where's the disc? It's off the line, right? So I want to line up off the line and walk into it with the proper motion of what he's saying is like stepping into the line and going through your motions and all that. And another big thing on the whole left to right is like, it's like if I go up and I'm going to throw at Anheuser, I'm going to hold the disc down like this. So when I come, or up, my bad. Because when I go up to it, if it's up, there's no way I will be able to throw a hyzer this way. See, like it would be nearly impossible for me. I would have to like dip my arm and come up and do that. And it's almost impossible for me to throw it. And I don't even have to look at it just because of these simple techniques that we're going to show you with the driving clinic. But I'll go ahead and throw it. So what do you want me to throw, Ricky?
So let's throw a straight shot to start,
Straight shot.
so you can see. And just pay attention to all the mechanics he's doing. He's going to step off the line a little bit, and his arm is going to be in the slot of a straight shot. So pretend that's his disc. He's going to approach it a little bit left to achieve his arm angle to be on the line by the time he gets to the.
And another thing, you want to be like loose. You don't want to be super stiff and like be like a robot or anything. It's all about just being smooth and walking into it and gradually getting quicker through your motion of walking through to the end of the tee pad. So we like to start off a little bit off because like every tee pad's kind of different, so we just kind of adjust to what tee pad and what size of tee pad you're playing with that weekend. So
and when he's talking, he hit on a good point. It's starting slow in your run up and building up to the fast explosion at the end, which is what you want. You don't want to start your run up fast. You want to start slow and build the momentum until the last second when you're releasing the disc. And you'll see that also here in a second. He's going slow. He's running up, and he ran up on the line. So you see his disc, it basically went straight out and finished pretty much right in line where the disc is. So we like to say, if you're within, 5 meters of the line that you're aiming at, like the tee pad, he was basically within the parameters of which we consider a good shot, which is a line of play. So he came through his disc, everything was good, came here, and basically his disc went out and turned flat because all of his mechanics, his arm swing, his run up, and everything kind of helped him achieve that shot of going straight. And of course, it's always going to be a little bit fractions off here and there, but he's going for consistency and all the different variables as far as the run up, the arm swing, and just holding the angle and wrist motion in place is what achieves that. So now he's going to throw the other way. He's going to do
an Anheuser.
Same exact shot. He's just moving his wrist a little bit and moving his run up. So he's going to go right to left and turn. He hit that, but basically it's going to be the same shot. His disc was going to go out and turn and back to the line of play. But he went out and everything was working for that Anheuser shot. Now he's going to go for the hyzer.
And do you guys notice that my arm was like this? And I don't even have to look at it to go back, because I know if I come across my body and I take this line that Ricky's talking about, my body's out of the way and I just have to freely swing my arm around and it's going to throw Anheuser, or I'm going to throw it Anheuser. No, it's going to be the complete opposite this time.
Now he's going to go start by the sidewalk probably and hyzer back towards the white post somewhere. So started at the sidewalk, and now he's hyzering right towards the post. So that's basically exactly what I told him to do in his middle of his run up. He knew what he was going to do. So I told him, go to the sidewalk, so he's aiming at the sidewalk basically he's holding his disc on a level plane where it's going to go on the sidewalk, and the natural gravity is going to take it to the right, which is exactly what happened. So that is a way of you can, to show you that I'm not just talking about it, we're actually doing it and we're thinking about it. Every shot we have, it's subconscious to us that we're thinking about that stuff. We're not like, oh, we're going to step on the T-pad, I got to run up like this and like that. But when you're first practicing it, you have to think that. But at our level, we've done it and practiced it so much, it's subconscious. But to a certain extent, I have to tell that to you guys, otherwise you're not going to just all of a sudden think that, and you know, you have to learn stuff before you can actually implement it into your practice routine. So.
And I learned this whole technique all from Dave Feldberg. You guys probably know Dave Feldberg, but if you can, draw this circle and then draw a line down the middle of it, and it will basically teach you how to manipulate a T-pad. Because we just look at a T-pad like this, we start over here and work ourselves to the right if we're throwing a Anheuser, and the opposite if you're throwing a Heiser. And this is obviously opposite if you're right-handed. I'm lefty, so. But this is like the biggest thing. And also, like, when we're throwing, if you really watch us, like, if I'm trying to, like, get to a basket over here, I want to, like, know where it is, and I'm drawing, like, a straight line down to the basket, and I'm working this line, because when we throw these Heiser flips and these helix, we're literally throwing to a straight line. We always want to end in a straight line. Like, I'm going to throw a Heiser and be on this line. Even though it's a Heiser, I'm coming back to the center line every time. It's just the way it is. It's like, if you work this helix and you drift too far off the line, you're losing distance and momentum because you've got to get back to the line. So we're like working a line over here and then coming back across the line, but we always want to finish on the line, if that makes sense. Does that make sense at all? Because if you're like way over here and the line's here and then you got to fight back over here, you're losing momentum and you're going to be off the line and not where you're trying to throw.
Yeah, and so do you guys have any questions so far? No? All right. So we're going to kind of build off of that here in a second.
Here, I'll throw a flex shot and I kind of work it Anheuser back across the line. And let's just use these poles to see if I can work it over here, bring it back over here, and see if you guys can see the momentum continuously going forward and keeping the integrity on the line.
So yeah, he's basically drawing a line, and anywhere within reason of those white posts would be considered a good shot that lands on the line of play.
Center guru sign is probably where I'm going to use.
Going up over here, going over there. You see it basically turned out, and Heiser back. So
I would consider that a shank.
right.
Like I missed, I didn't throw it, I didn't really commit. Okay, that works. This one better.
So he's throwing this out of my bag, so he doesn't
I'm
really know.
trying to lose Ricky
Yeah.
back, Ricky's disc. I did it again.
So, but basically, you guys can see the concept. He hit another wire or something. But yeah, so he's doing the same thing. The line of play is basically just towards those white posts, and he's going to throw a flex shot and Heiser back. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Go one more. There. So it's pretty much right what he said. It's going to turn, and now Heiser back a little bit. Basically, we're within reason of where he was trying to aim.
Possibly. Maybe.
But so, that's the first thing. The second most important thing about driving is going to be what we call the hip turn, and that's one way to describe what's happening with our hips and how the follow through is happening. The most important thing with the follow through is starting your hips. If you never start your hips, you'll never have a follow through. If you throw this like this, and your hips never explode forward like that, like you see. I don't know if you guys.
A thrust forward.
It's
like
more, yeah. It's not
shift.
It's not a spin like that. A lot of people think it's like a spinning your wrist like your waist like that, but it's actually more of like a side to side movement. And obviously at the end you're spinning, but you're not spinning in the beginning of your throw. So if you're reaching back, and say you're doing a run up, everything's good. You're running up on the line. Your arm starts reaching back, and you're starting to go here. A lot of people start twisting your hips, and that does so many negative things to your throw. It now calls it. Devin's going to talk about it.
We call that rounding.
So I'm rounding here because my hips are turning. So what that does, that turns my arm, and it actually allows my hips is now out of place because I'm not going to do a side-to-side motion. I'm going to do a twisting motion, and that's really bad for your back, and it's bad for your form. So it's something that you really want to be aware of and make sure that you don't do. Of course, you never want to do like this to the point where your arm turns, because your hip actually allows a lot of your other body parts to come through. Your hips allow your arm to come through, and it allows your leg and your whole lower body to follow through. If you're throwing a shot like this, you're never gonna have power, and you're never gonna have consistency because you're not using your whole body. That'd be like doing any athletic motion and just doing like this. You never see any stand flat-footed like that for anything. When you're running, nothing. There's no movement that does that. You want to have all your body parts work together, and in that way, there's not as much strain on your arm, your hips, any of the body parts you're using for a disc golf throw is not being isolated, and you're never going to get as many injuries that way. So,
being loose and not having all your muscles contracted is also another big factor. Like, we're always like, you watch us doing this before and being loose and, you know, having our knees not super stiff, because you can't have that. You got to be able to like kind of like creep into the shot, like just approach it nice and slow and gradually get it quicker, and then just bust through at the very end, because that gives you like less margin of error. You just don't want to like throw it and just go like a dart, you know. You want to like look at it and then have a nice quick little pop right into the dartboard. It's not a, you don't see them just go like, that's how I do it, but the pros, they're like, they look like this and they just go boom right there, and it's less margin of error if you're getting gradually quicker than just explode from this part instead of this part. So
yeah, and the follow through is probably one of the most important things in the disc golf throw, because it, like I said, it allows your whole body to work together in a run up, and everything stems from a follow through. Your arm does, your hips do, your lower body does, and so that is super important. I'm going to talk a little bit now about my arm swing, and the path of my arm. We talked about it a little bit with the angle as far as the run up, but basically, now that I talked about the run up, your wrist angle has to match whichever shot you're trying to achieve for a run up. So if you're trying to achieve a hyzer run up, that's why you see a lot of the top players, we go, as soon as we get up to the tee pad, we stand most of the time, not everyone, but a lot of people stand out there and hold their disc like this or like that, because they're holding their disc out because they want to achieve the angle before they throw. And what that does, that allows you to once you practice enough, you form wrist control, and it's like muscle memory with your wrist. If you hold your wrist out like that, you know that in the middle of your throw, you need to reach back and forward without letting your wrist move any which way. You lock it in place. So that's why you see it held like that. And vice versa for an Anheuser. If I'm throwing from right side to the left side, if I'm a righty, I'm gonna hold my disc in place. Now I'm gonna follow my disc and my path to go, everything's this way. So you see how my feet are like this, my shoulders are like this, and my disc is right here, and everything's working here. So my disc is gonna go out and turn to the right naturally, because I told my lower body, my upper body, and my wrist to go through, and those are the three variables that achieve consistency on whatever angle you want to throw for a drive, and not just a drive, an approach shot as well.
And to go on to that whole stand at the end of the tee pad, we really are using our imagination. We're visualizing a shot in front of us and looking at maybe a tree up there or a tree branch or something like that as a visual point that we're going to try to hit. We're just not thinking like, oh, let's get it by the basket. It's like, you got to visualize the shot in front of you and then use your imagination to hit that point. And that will actually like help make it easier, because if it's like a 400-foot hole, you can't imagine hitting a line 450 feet out. Try to hit that point that's only 100 feet out, because if you hit that point only 100 feet out, you know where it's going to end at its point, because that's what you've imagined hitting that original point.
Yeah, I think we've covered basically the three most important topics as far as driving goes.
Maybe go on your grip.
Yeah, I guess we should have talked about grip a little earlier, but I think it's, we can end on the grip issue. It's pretty basic, but I'll show you the basic grips that I use. I basically use one grip, but I'm a little bit unique compared to most. But the general grip that most players use is the power grip. So basically, what it is it's 3 fingers. I'll kind of walk around. It's pretty basic. Some people, so I hold it a little different, where I put 3 fingers like this, but that's like more of a fan grip, more for like putters and mid ranges. But for drives, the preferred grip is 3 fingers underneath, and the pointer finger kind of on top, just resting like that. So that's basically what the power grip looks like. And for like an approach grip, for like a more controlled fan grip for putters and stuff, is similar, but the fingers are on the flight plate of the disc instead of on the rim like that. So that's basically the two differences between me and Devin's grip is the power grip versus the fan grip, and those are the two main grips that we use.
The deciding factor on if we're going to use a fan grip or a pinch grip or whatever is more on speed control. We use a power grip when it doesn't really matter if we don't care if it skips out or whatever. It's like the pinch grip or fan grip is for like the controlled shots coming into a target and we want it to hit and just sit. If that kind of makes sense. There's a difference in like, it's kind of hard because sometimes you get confused if you want to try to incorporate the power grip and the pinch grip. It takes a long time to really get that, but it's more of an advanced style and you can really work on that, and the pinch grip, fan grip is like used for inside the woods and you don't want to have a lot of power going into it and you're just trying to like baby the shot down the fairway. But he throws pinch grip all the time?
Yeah, I throw a fan grip all the time. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's more about personal preference. I think the majority of people for drivers are throwing the 3 fingers underneath the rim. That's the more common move for drivers. And so it's just whatever feels comfortable. If you want to mess around with different grips, at least I showed you, and you can kind of see what feels comfortable and what you prefer. But I think that's probably about time. We've kind of ran over a little bit, but if you guys have any questions, here now's the time to ask. If it's about approach shots, anything to do with driving or mechanics or anything that you have questions for, anyone? Yeah, don't be afraid to ask.
So I'm a bit new to this, but the Anheuser Angle throws, do they do anything with distance, or is it mostly for obstacles?
It's a great question. So when you're, Anheuser throws, I mean, it just depends on your release point. So the more you play, you're going to determine that you're either like to throw with a natural release like Heiser or Anheuser. Everyone's different. Like he's a natural Heiser thrower, so he's lefty, so his disc comes out and kind of naturally flips up like that. So I'm a righty, so I naturally throw with an opposite angle. So he's naturally a Heiser thrower like this, and it stands up like that, flat. I'm a natural flex thrower where I throw over the top, and my disc a lot of time comes out and it comes left. So it's more of what you prefer, and the more you play, you'll establish what you think feels comfortable. And of course, it's good to know how to throw all the different shots, but as far as an everyday throw, if it's a wide open shot, it's okay to have your own style, is what I'm trying to say. You have a flex shot, some people throw flat, some people throw Heiser flip to flat, and so just practicing all the different shots and see what you think feels comfortable to where you can kind of establish what your number one throw is. And so like I said, it's good to practice all the different throws, but it's also good to have one throw that you can rely on every time when you have the opportunity in a wide open field.
But compared to a straight shot, is there a distance difference there?
I mean, it's what do you think, Dev? He's asking the difference between like an Anheuser versus like a straight shot and distance-wise.
I would consider myself more of an old school player, like Klimo and Feldberger and all those guys. Like, I throw Heiser flip, like he was saying, so to generate the whole Heiser flip to like Anheuser and get the distance, like you want to work a helix. You want to start learning like a really understable disc and just learn how to throw it like vertical. Because whenever you can learn it to throw it vertical and get it to pop up and then barely come over and then come back, you're going to get the most distance, and that's going to go straight. Like, and straight is like the hardest shot to learn, but that's my game. Like, I throw straight very well. Like, I'm left-handed, but I'm absolutely horrible at throwing a lefty Heiser. Like, my game is set up to be Heiser flip to straight or Heiser flip to turnover and keep it bending and panning out to the left. Because that's what the courses are making me do. I very rarely get to a course and it's just like lefty Heiser, lefty Heiser, lefty Heiser, because all you guys would complain.
Stupid lefty courses.
No.
But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I prefer
Headwind shots.
Headwind shots.
I usually disc up, and that's maybe the wrong decision.
No, I think headwind shots is more of you want to throw a little bit more. I throw the same shot, but just change the disc. So, say if I'm throwing in this field and I normally throw, say my putter that goes straight with no wind, maybe disc up to a putter that's a little bit more overstable, and even a driver. That's a lot of times. Like a lot of times, if it's a wind, I normally throw a putter. I may disc up to a mid-range with a little bit more stability, so you don't have to throw it so hard. A lot of people are trying to throw headwind shots really hard with the normal disc they throw, and that's when you see a disc turn over and all this other stuff. There's no shame in throwing a driver, even if you normally don't. just to cut through the wind better. The drivers are meant to, like he said, he's not going for distance with that. He's just trying to aim at the white post, and that's exactly what happened.
I was aiming at
Where
them, actually.
normally he would throw a putter, but since it's windy, he's throwing a driver, and he knows the natural flight, and he just can control the distance better in a headwind as opposed to a putter or mid-range. Any more questions? No, you guys are shy? Don't be shy.
On the grip.
Devin, you got a question
Okay.
for him.
So on the grip,
He'll make up a question.
you really don't want to have like a super tight grip. That's like goes into the whole loose thing, and then at the end you just want to hold it, like grip it right at the end. So we're not on the tee pad with a super tight grip the whole time. It's like it's loose, like the disc will nearly fall out of our hand the whole time. But we are grabbing it right at the end to get that snap that you might hear on some players. So
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people ask how firm you hold it, but it's more like, I like to tell people you're not holding it to the point where it's bending. That's not good. But you're also not holding it to the point where it's like literally falling out. It's more of like just a gentle grab. And like he's saying, as you get farther into your swing, you're holding more firmly until you release.
like sometimes if you guys ever see Nate Doss throw, he's like doing this the whole time and then grabs it right at the end. And you watch us all, we all have some kind of timing. You want to like get a routine and walk into the shot and get your timing down. And like, because if you get your routine and your timing down, you can go back to that and correct it if something starts getting offline or something.
Yep, great question. So, all right, I think that's about it. We're going to go ahead and get started with the luck of the draw. Is that good? Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Devin, I heard that the disc was
Turn over.
See a right hand in one?
Sure, yeah. All right, I'll throw an Anheuser for you guys. So I'm going to try and do what Devin's doing. We got a headwind here. I'm going to try and throw out towards the white pole. That one's a little bit too high, but I'll throw one more. Throw a good one. It's windy out there. So I'm going to go out here and throw a putter. And I'm going to throw it out towards the sidewalk and turn it towards the white pole. So, you know, it turned, it came out a little bit, but now it's going towards the white pole. See that? It landed flat. So it went out, I played the wind, and I basically lined up my whole body towards the target, towards where I want to throw, knowing my disc is going to fall to the right because of the wind. So, I'll throw one more. Didn't turn as much, but basically it flew right where I told it to. And the wind, I was expecting the wind to turn it, but basically you saw that this went right where I told it to. It was more of just an angle problem. I didn't turn it enough in my hand, and that's why I didn't turn enough. But now you can see that's why the wind messes with us. Sometimes we don't know how to judge it perfectly either. That's the number one thing, variable that's the hardest to control is the wind. So is that about it? We can get started, Lars? All right.
Vi har besøk av Akers Avis her. Han skal ha et par ord med Ricky. Så vi starter om ca. 5 minutter oppe ved hull 1. NM-hull 1. Så det er bare å møte opp der oppe, så kommer vi så snart som mulig.
this is Ricky.
How you doing, buddy? Good to meet you.